All right. So finally, our belated PTMG podcast number 4. It's sponsored by my movie Office Ninja.
Beer.
Go check it out whenever it comes out. Allison was part of it. She'll tell you it was pretty cool. So as a heads up, once again, there's going to be bad language most likely. And to prove it, today's word is from George Carlin's list is baby food, which apparently is euphemism for semen. So Allison,
Horrible.
Allison and Andrew, can either of you use that in a sentence?
Use baby food in a sentence?
Yes.
Well, let's just say I hope no one's flinging any baby food around tonight.
Unless we're reenacting Silence of the Lambs. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly introduce my 2 guests for tonight. They are Allison Vanore and Andrew Seeley. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and pimp your shit if you've got anything to pimp. Allison, let's start with you.
Okay, I'm Allison Vanore, and I'm a producer. Sometimes I write and direct too. You can check out podcasts, which is PAWD casts, and that's a dog care show.
Dog paw here.
Aw. Starring Pilar Kuhn, and we've got about 7 episodes up now, another one coming tomorrow, so that's my current show, and I'm sure other shows and other movies will come up during our talk tonight.
I saw Rob back there.
Whoa,
He just snuck
did I
by.
miss Rob making a... did I miss Rob? Oops.
You missed him. He ran by. I'm sure at some point he will make an appearance of some sort.
Was he wearing pants?
I don't know. Rob, are you wearing pants?
Kind of. They're shorts. So, and they're pajama shorts. So I'm not wearing pants. How's it going, guys?
Good to see you, Rob. Your turn will come soon. All right, sorry. Allison, were you done, or
Yeah, sure.
before we were rudely interrupted by Rob? So, Andrew, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Andrew Seeley. Oh, my mic's not working.
Are you? Okay.
Well, then I'll just keep talking about myself while Andrew is gone.
Sure, take your time.
I've got a feature film called Love in the Time of Monsters that is going to be screening in the next couple weeks. Sneak preview in Crescent City, California, where we shot, and a sneak preview in Tucson, Arizona. So that's going to be fun.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. My name is Andrew Seeley. I'm a producer, actor, editor. I work in web TV, and sometimes I go to reality TV.
Your mic seems to be still kind of wonky.
Can you hear me?
Did you change the settings? Go to the settings in the Hangout, and there's something in the middle for microphone.
Hear me now. Better? Worse?
It's about the same.
This is the worst ever.
Do you have a fan going on right now?
No.
Okay, because it sounds like every time you're talking, like a helicopter is flying by you.
Wow, that's weird. Let me close one more window, see if that helps.
Maybe Andrew is in a helicopter.
I am a helicopter. Is that better?
About the same.
Oh my goodness. This is the worst ever.
All right, well.
Let's try the headphone trick. Let's see if we can trick it.
Okay. This is why this is number 4. We're still getting a lot of things out of the way here. And we actually, unfortunately, had to start on Tuesday instead of Monday night, mainly because YouTube decided to do maintenance and it prevented us from doing a hangout.
At a 9 p.m., Pacific Standard Time, which is just really bizarre. You'd think they'd wait until like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're worried about East Coast people. 6 in the morning,
Who cares about those guys?
Yeah. All right, Andrew, go ahead and try to talk again.
Hear me now? Hear me now? Hear me now?
Same.
Better? Worse?
It's about the same, maybe a little worse, actually. All right, well, just choose whatever works best for you. And,
I sit really close.
that kind of works, yeah.
Okay. You get to see my sweaty face then. It's hot in my room because I had to turn up the fans.
Yeah, I'm, like, sweating over here, too. But, all right, Andrew, go ahead, introduce yourself.
This is the worst. See, it's not even switching to me. No? Maybe?
Wow.
I don't know what to do.
Man, this is awesome.
That's okay. Andrew, you know sign language, right? You can just talk to us using signs. A little bit. Perfect.
You can chat, and then we'll pass it on to the audio. Yeah, try without the. Did you change the settings on? Wait, did you remember to change the settings once you went to the headset?
Still. I'll try again.
We are not hearing you at all. I would say do not go with the headset.
Better? Worse?
Slightly better, yeah.
Okay. We'll try.
Let's do it.
All right, so go ahead, Andrew. Try to introduce yourself through the beauty of technology.
This must be the most entertaining thing for anyone to ever watch. Watching people struggle with technology is great. I'm a producer and an actor. And I work in web TV, and right now, reality TV pays my bills.
Woo!
Ooh.
Sorry. Did you hear any of that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So basically, so I guess I was going to like do with the small talk about Allison's starting up jury duty, and maybe talking a little football in terms of Manchester United blowing 2 points against Chelsea, and Clint Dempsey returning to America, playing for the Sounders. But I think we probably should push ahead and get on to talk about movies, which is today's topic. One thing that we probably cannot avoid was over the weekend, there was literally 5 levels of backlash upon backlash about a certain kind of casting, which was basically Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. Everyone's all crazy about that, right?
I cried.
That's not so bad. Because isn't Vin Diesel playing the
Yeah, he's
green
Groot.
guy?
Yeah, I think for Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, anything goes. So whatever stunt casting they want, go for it. I mean, Bradley Cooper seems like he could do a mousy voice.
We're not going to see his face because he's going to be a CG raccoon, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
That's fine.
he's a big name, blah blah. But do either of you care to pile anything more on the Ben Affleck casting?
Well, I have my first question is, when did this week become like national cast people and new roles week? It just seems like suddenly they're announcing all of this stuff all at once, and I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't know,
guess.
it's like people they announce all this casting stuff like before movies have shot and stuff like that. It's like there's no surprise anymore. I have like
Right.
18 months to sit and think about whoever's going to be in this role, and like what happened. Just like let a movie come out and we'll see.
Right, like maybe this like day and date thing, the movie comes out on demand and in the theater, and they announce who's playing the roles on that same day.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because they're thinking any kind of it's free publicity, I guess. And I don't know.
Yes, I mean, does it translate into bigger box office numbers down the line? Maybe, but it is so far away, like Andrew said. I don't know if it does.
Yeah, either
that. Like Ben Affleck is Ben Affleck. That's not who I picture as Batman. I think he's a talented actor and a talented director. He probably should direct this instead of Zack Snyder, but I don't know. He doesn't scream Batman to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with him. I still haven't seen Daredevil. It's on my to-do list of bad movies. Morbid curiosity. My feeling about it is I'm wondering if they're trying to find a way to go contrast with Henry Cavill, because Cavill is definitely all broody, and I guess the whole movie could be broody, but Affleck definitely doesn't seem like a top choice for like adding an extra broody Batman. So maybe it's a little bit not cheesy like the Michael Keaton ones, but maybe it's a little bit. I think they wanted to get as far away from Christian Bale's Batman. I think that may be part of it. And
my problem is not so much the Batman. I don't see him as Bruce Wayne. I don't see him as a playboy. He's like the kid from Southie. Like he's always going to be kind of like gritty and not suave. And I know he's played suave before, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like he can bring the class to Bruce Wayne that everyone expects.
Actually, I've heard like the opposite, where a lot of people feel like I think like Ralph Garman had said this. Like he sees Ben Affleck pulling the Bruce Wayne part fine, but the actual Batman part, he has trouble. He has a lot of guff on that. But so
yeah, for me, I watched I love the recent Batmans. I love Christian Bale as Batman, so I'm definitely, it's going to be hard for me to get over him not being Batman in future movies. But then, I saw Man of Steel, and I enjoyed it, and I like Henry Cavill as Superman, and, I was a little actually disappointed to hear that the next movie was going to be, with Batman and Superman together, because I felt like the end of Man of Steel had this really nice setup for the next movie, and now if Batman's going to be in the next movie, I feel like that kind of ruins it, and then it's like a double whammy if you throw Ben Affleck in the mix. So now I'm just kind of not excited for the movie at all.
It's Warner Brothers and DC playing catch up to Marvel. That's all it is. I think quality's going to suffer because of that.
Yeah, we'll see if their gamble pays off, but unless
Bryan
anyone
Cranston makes me want to see it.
Yeah, that's the only good part.
Like when Kevin Spacey was cast as Lex Luthor in the other Superman movie, like that made up for a little bit.
Yeah, but all right, let's not talk about that version. All right, so since you've kind of already talked a little bit about Man of Steel, but let's try. We're going to be kind of talking about this summer season, whatever that is, of movies. We'll try to go in order, but probably just whatever. I kind of have the list here. Hopefully, it won't be too boring to just go down the list, but we'll see how it goes. I'd say, now these days, May is now the beginning of the summer season, and basically ended last weekend. So in May, obviously, the big movie would be Iron Man 3. Did either of you guys watch that movie?
Yeah, totally.
I saw it.
Did you guys like it?
Yeah.
Maybe out of all the summer blockbusters, it might have been my favorite of them, though, because it definitely did well with putting Iron Man's story front. I guess my biggest problem with the one-off Marvel movies at this point is we just came out of Avengers and we created this entire universe that all these other superheroes exist, and then really we're so solely focused on Iron Man. Like, wouldn't anybody else like fight this guy who's jumping around the world? Like, what is everyone else busy doing?
Yeah, but you gotta, they're gonna want to make movies that stand alone. And so, obviously, this wasn't the Avengers. And for me, I wasn't a fan of the Avengers. And maybe that's because when I watched the Avengers, I was in the middle of shooting a feature and I was exhausted and I fell asleep twice. But I definitely didn't enjoy the Avengers, and I love Iron Man. And so, for me, it worked just fine without that. But I could see. I heard a lot of people talking about how they felt like it didn't fit in the world with the Avengers. So I get that. I get that frustration. But I thought it was really entertaining. I liked it more than I liked Iron Man 2. Iron Man 1, I still like that one the best. But and I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. So can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot of complaints about, oh, it's too much Tony Stark, not enough Iron Man. I mean, that Downey basically is what makes the character.
Yeah.
And I was totally fine that, whatever the metrics are, 90% screen time was Robert Downey Jr. versus actual Iron Man. I like watching him perform, so he's cool as Tony Stark. And, like the scene where, like, he kind of pulls kind of like a little bit like James Bond, where he's infiltrating the bad guy's hideout, and at the end he's fighting with one like power boot and one power hand.
Yeah.
I thought that was really creative, and then that made everything, the whole build up to the gigantic like army of CGI Iron Man, just like really hit a home run with that. Like, my complaint about previous Marvel movies was that the bad guys and my complaint about previous Iron Man movies was I never felt like the fights were ever memorable. Like, Favreau did a great job of like making Iron Man and Tony Stark really likable, but like the battles, I never felt they never felt visually interesting. And this one, the way Shane Black did it, was the first time I recall, wow, that is a memorable thing. I want to see that action again. I want to see like all the 40-some different suits just plowing through that thing.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like it was really, really entertaining. I do think I remember more of the fight sequences in this one than I did in the other one. So, yeah, I'm ready for more.
I think my favorite part was probably Ben Kingsley over anything else. Like, his performance stood out so well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Yeah, I totally forgot. There was so much backlash about him and the Mandarin reveal, which I kind of sympathize with some of that, because it would be the same thing as if you were doing a Batman movie and the Joker turned out to be, a mime or something like that. You are taking away, Iron Man's allegedly greatest rival, and you're kind of putting a mockery of it. What did you? Do either of you follow the Iron Man like lore? I'm not that. I don't know it that well, but I just know the Mandarin is supposed to be the bad guy.
So the twist in the end of the movie was not in the comic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I've never really read. I've done a lot of Wikipediaing, and he's. I understand they're trying to keep it rooted in more reality. That's why he's got the kind of post-traumatic stress syndrome stuff going on that my friend Andrea Letamendi wrote about. He has issues with, like, he suddenly feels very mortal, and so I understand the need to have Mandarin be still kind of fighting with technology. At the same time, as you guys mentioned before, you've opened up the world of Avengers. It's no longer implausible that now you can have dudes with rings that have superpowers. as his bad guy. So I can see both sides on it. I'm not like, wringing my hands about it.
Yeah.
It's no longer singular movies about a singular character in their storyline, because everything eventually going to play back into the Avengers 2 and 3. So, like, have a semi-standalone movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Andrew, you might have to get a little closer to the mic, by the way. See your awesome eyes there, your dreamy eyes.
Can we do the whole show like that?
Close enough.
Sure. I won't be able to see what's going on. That'd be awesome for whoever just like ends up on their view and say, "What the hell's going on?" All right. So now, so I guess there's been a few other big movies out there in May. The other big one would probably be Star Trek Into Darkness. Did you guys want to jump into that, or are there a few other May movies that really stood out for you guys?
Well, there was Fast 6 and Before Midnight, and those were kind of my favorite two in May.
Yeah, I loved both movies for very different reasons, obviously.
Yeah. This happened to be on my list, and they're nowhere related to each other whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Before Midnight might be my favorite movie of the year. It's a front runner right now. I know there's a crap load of really good movies coming up, including Gravity, which me and Allison may freak out about later. But yeah, Before Midnight, for me, even though I've never had like as complicated a relationship as some of the portrayals in the movie, I felt really, really genuine. I loved just how much they're pushing the envelope in terms of, let's do this one take, let's do it, and I guess it's mumblecore, but it never felt mumblecore. Like, every conversation they had meant something. It added to the theme about the temperance of love. It pushed the envelope, it pushed further what their relationship was.
It felt real. Like, never once do I have to, like, stop and question. I just feel like I'm a fly on the wall in this couple's relationship, and it felt so natural, even picking up after such a long span of time. Like, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy were just able to just pick right back up where they left, and it just felt like you got to experience another day in their life, and a lot of crap at the wall, and it was fantastic. And things aren't nice and neat, like things are messy, and that's what life is like.
Yeah. Allison, did you get a chance to watch that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Have you seen the other Before movies?
Which ones? No.
Before Sunrise, Before Sunset? Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, then you have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
That's okay. Now I want to see them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people have made comparisons to the Up series, which is a documentary about British kids that every 7 years they would look back into their lives. Right now, the Before series, you've got them every 9 years. So it would be very interesting and very hopeful, like 9 years from now, we're going to get a before some random time of day.
Before brunch.
Before brunch. Well, before brunch, before noon, before... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know my terms. By the time they're like freaking 80 years old or whatever, they've run out of things to use for the titles.
I guess we have noon, but they haven't done noon.
Yeah, that's true.
Except for that doesn't sound cool at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Andrew, did you have anything else to add to that?
Sorry, what?
Did you have anything else to add to Before Midnight before we move on?
I just thought it was a great film that got overlooked. Like, just not a ton of people saw it, and it's their passion project, and they don't do it for a lot of money or a lot of exposure. But it's not something you had to see in the theater, so definitely pick 3 nights in a row and watch all 3 movies, and you'll have a great time. And it's a different style of filmmaking that we don't get, so it's really refreshing to see. The first shot's like 15 minutes long. Like, it's literally one shot.
That car scene was incredible.
And it's a great, you know, nothing really happens. They just have this general conversation, and it's perfect.
Is it shot on film?
Um, I can't really tell. I'm guessing they probably use digital just again for budget reasons, and I really don't know what Richard Linklater's style is necessarily. If he prefers film over digital.
Well, because you said 15-minute shot. You can't shoot 15 minutes nonstop on 35. It runs out after about 10 or 11 minutes. So that's why I'm.
Oh, okay. Well, then we could do a process of elimination, I guess.
I didn't sit there with a stopwatch, but I'm guessing it was about 15 minutes.
It felt like 15 minutes. It was like just a nonstop car drive, driving through the mountains of Greece, I think. And it's just the two characters just having conversation. It sets up so much because it informs the audience what's happened in the past 8 years, and also gives into a beautiful slice of life into their current relationship, what's going on, setting things up for discussions and arguments down the line. And it's like this great like parenthood bit about Ethan Hawke just stealing his kid's food. And then the kid's waking up and it's like, what happened to my apple? I don't feel like it was overlooked because it just plays to a certain group of people. I mean, you're never going to get the 12-year-old kids to watch it. They're never going to understand it. Like, I probably wanted to rewatch the Before Sunrise, Before Sunsets because I probably was too young in my life to understand some of the conversations they were having or whatever themes they had on relationships. And yeah, so from something as awesome and authentic as Before Midnight, I really enjoyed Fast and Furious 6. I think Fast and Furious 5 was slightly better.
I don't know. Those are movies where I can 100% go and check out and just sit there and watch people beat each other up, shoot things, and there was like that IO9 article about like how long the actual runway was supposed to be, like you put it all together.
Yeah, it was great. It's the longest, the longest runway ever.
Like 12 miles, maybe. But I don't care. Like that's one movie I go to and I'm like, I don't care that that plane like would have had to be going on like 4,000 miles of runway. Like I just don't care. It was fun.
Well, they just had like a gigantic tank running like freeway speeds on a giant like single lane bridge in Europe or something, and then they're able to like bring it down by anchoring it with another car with a set of chains the whole launching Vin Diesel from or is it Michelle Rodriguez who was launched from the tank? Like the physics of it was fantastic.
I don't care. It's fun.
Yeah, I think I like Fast 5 slightly better because it had the action looked a little less CGI, for lack of a better word.
That's true. But there was great fight. The fight between Michelle Rodriguez and the other girl in the subway.
Gina Carano.
An amazing fight sequence.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what Statham does. And now we've got Tony Jaa. Who, if you've seen like his Ong Bak stuff, he's kind of like the modern Jet Li, I guess. He's the closest thing we've got who's in his prime right now doing some crazy stuff. So maybe he'll do something silly like kick a tank into a helicopter. That'll be awesome. The physics, the physics are physics.
Unless Expendables 3 does that first.
Yeah, that's true. Now, did either of you guys watch Gatsby or Hangover 3 or Now You See Me or After Earth?
Saw 3 out of 4 of those.
Any thoughts on those guys? I didn't watch any of those.
Gatsby was okay. I think as much as I enjoy Baz Luhrmann, it's just a really crappy, boring book. So that translates into a crappy book. And then After Earth was a disaster. I don't know why. You had Will Smith and his son, whatever his name is, and there was a mother in the movie. I'm like, why did they just get Jada? Like, the mother's shown up for like 3 days of shooting, and you could have had all 3 of them. But I don't know. That was a big failure. And then Now You See Me was, I sat there about 20 minutes in the movie going, okay, what are they trying to do? And I just felt like they were stringing me along on the biggest con for an hour and a half, and it was just like, the con's not about them like pulling off this magic trick. The con is getting me to sit in that movie theater for an hour and a half. And they're making a sequel too. Which makes me
God.
I guess
it did well enough
money.
overseas, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Allison, did you watch any of those?
No, but I did watch Star Trek Into Darkness this week, actually.
Okay. So that's probably freshest in your mind. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that, which is also another movie with tons of nerd rage. But go ahead.
Well, and the thing is, I don't fall into that category. I never watched Star Trek on television. I've seen parts of Star Trek growing up because my dad was really into Star Trek, so I know the basics of the basics, but I've always enjoyed the films. So I've always gone to the movies and seen, Star Trek. So, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I thought it was, a decent story. I enjoyed, the effects. I thought it looked really good. Some moments I felt like I was like in Battlestar Galactica with some of the, like, I feel like a lot of the camera moves and stuff were kind of reminiscent of BSG. But I enjoyed it. I mean, for what it is, I don't know any of the, backstories really for any of the characters, so it didn't piss me off at all.
Did you ever watch The Wrath of Khan, like the original Shatner ones?
No. I've seen parts, but no, not really.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Celie, what'd you think about it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. I don't think it was the best movie ever. I don't really care that they switch things up. I fully accept that they're in an alternate timeline that's parallel, but kind of not parallel to the original timeline. JJ's going to do what JJ does, and IO9 like ripped it to shreds in like this hilarious article afterwards, and I was like, yeah, you're 100% right on every single point, but I had a good time, but I didn't think it was the best thing since sliced bread. I want more Simon Pegg in just about everything. So the fact that he's on the ship for about half the movie just makes me upset.
Yeah, for me, like, Simon Pegg was the best part. I'm not necessarily the biggest Star Trek purist. I was like, and this was my complaint about the first reboot as well, was basically I felt like this was always an action movie where you transplanted the Star Trek characters into an action movie. Now, having said that, you could, yell about how I love Wrath of Khan and First Contact. Those were the more action-packed of, the quote-unquote older era of Star Trek. So you could, yell at me about that. But for me, the things that bothered me was you did this brilliant way of changing the timeline, saying this is a separate timeline. You can love the Shatner stuff, and we're going to carve our own mythos, our own legacy of Star Trek. And to have that wasted opportunity after doing a brilliant reboot on the first one, to suddenly say, oh, there's all these weird crossovers, and let's
deny that it was Khan for so long, and then it's Khan anyways.
Yeah, I mean, this happened with Prometheus, too. It got leaked out, and in fact, it was already set. They were saying, we're doing a prequel to Aliens. Oh, no, we're not. We never were. And it turned out it was. Spoilers. So Star Trek, same thing with Cumberbatch as Khan. The reveal, like, half the audience laughed, because they're like, we knew it was freaking happening.
Yeah.
Well,
I've already called the plot line for the third movie is that basically, they're going to start a war with the Klingons, and they're going to come, and then Federation has no choice but to, like, reactivate Khan and his soldiers who will, like, sort of help him, but, like, our enemy's our friend only so far as we can trust him, and then, like, they're going to get away, and, that's going to be the plot line of the third movie, I feel like.
They'll have to, because they don't have someone coming back from the dead that they have to, find on the island where the Genesis machine came from.
And Khan's not dead, like, he's frozen.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Klingons clearly can kick everyone's ass.
Yeah, I was more, I was not a big fan of this one because I felt like the whole shouting out to the other ones and flipping things around, it was kind of cool, but I feel like it's going to degrade the rewatchability of it for someone like me who's obviously seen the original ones and enjoyed, like, obviously the easiest comparison would be Spock's death in Wrath of Khan 2. That had an emotional payoff. This one, when Kirk comes back because of, studying on tribbles, that they were able to, it was just a quick, oh, hey, that was a shout out. Now we're back to, doing big explosive stuff. And then the other thing that bugged me, and this kind of is a running theme throughout, some critics have been complaining about this since even last year, was this tendency to visually show 9/11-ish images in big blockbuster action movies. Like, the part where the Enterprise is crashing towards San Francisco, I wouldn't say it gave me the heebie-jeebies, but it took me out of the moment, because it was like, are they going to dodge? It looked like they were just doing a flat-out, like, visual, like, a reenactment of it. Iron Man 3 kind of had that issue with the people falling out of the airplane, and that one felt different because you have, like, Iron Man coming to save them, and it was really, like, visually exciting, and it kind of felt a little bit more fantasy-ish. This one, and again, this will be a big issue with Man of Steel, is there was no escape from it. You're watching. You want to watch movies like Star Trek and of those blockbuster type of movies to kind of escape from stuff. Like, we want to watch. Going back to Before Midnight, we're intentionally watching something that may, like, bring us bad memories about relationships and times we fight and times we have, where it looks like our relationships are on the rocks. So for me, that moment really, like, took me out of the moment.
Because, what's the reason, we watch superhero movies, though? I feel like we have to see destruction and we have to see bad happening in order for good to prevail, right? And I think you can't escape us and the audience, at least the United States, having those images in our minds when we see destruction of buildings and skyscrapers. I mean, I don't know that we're ever going to get over that. So do they avoid it because of that? I mean, what do you what do you think they should do?
I feel like you can be creative with it. Like, so Godzilla was created because it came out of a fear and from what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So Godzilla was the manifestation of that fear of the devastation and the pain and sorrow that came from it. But it was manifested as a monster in a fantastical way. So seeing things, so like when, like, Transformers 3, not that it's the greatest movie in the world, but that also had giant skyscrapers being destroyed, but they were being destroyed by giant robots. And this kind of goes with Pacific Rim, same thing too, is at least it's a fantastical, it's got a fantastical element to it that can keep you still within the story. I'm not saying that we should bar all movies that have, any kind of devastation that reminds us of anything, because otherwise we couldn't have, schools or this and that, But I feel like there's a time and place for it.
I think it comes down to what's at stake when there's destruction. Like, I think back to, like, Cloverfield, and buildings are falling and the monsters are beating up the city, but, like, we're so entrenched with the characters that we're following, and, like, their lives are at stake, because if their building gets knocked over, then they're going to die. Whereas in Star Trek and Superman, like, we're so outside of that, destruction that it's happening to other people that we don't know and we've never seen and we don't care about. So we have no connection to what's going on, because we're so focused on our hero characters who are either causing the destruction or just being so far divorced from it that there's no emotional tie to what the destruction is doing to the city or the people that we've been told to care about.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's basically kind of how I felt about it. It would be interesting to see how JJ, now that he's kind of crossed the streams and saying, oh, we're tied to, there's flip sides. If they're consistent with it in the third Star Trek, maybe it'll come up with something interesting. But I was not as nerd ragey, but I was also not very like. It was a kind of a meh movie to me for Star Trek Into Darkness.
I thought it was better than Man of Steel.
Well, speaking of Man of Steel, let's might as well jump into June. That movie. Go ahead, Andrew. Tell me what you feel about it.
I saw it and I enjoyed it, and I sat there, and then the next day I was like, I don't really care anymore. Like, it was fun, and I enjoyed watching Amy Adams, and somehow when you put her in a lifeless jumpsuit, she's still a pot, so I got to get started on that. But that's like my greatest takeaway from that. I didn't really care about much of the characters. I was really upset that they forced the love aspect at the end of the movie. I'm like, it wasn't necessary for them to do that. And I got really, really, really tired of all the stupid flashbacks. I was like, I get it. He's alienated. He didn't have a good childhood, and it's affecting him now. I don't need to see that for the 14th time. Like, it didn't make any sense to me that they kept hounding that.
But you have to play Soundgarden for like the 14th time or something, and the flannel jackets.
Yeah.
Allison, you watched Man of Steel?
Yeah, I did. I liked it. But I think that for me it felt like kind of a preview for the next movie, because I felt like we got while the stuff happened, we got a ton of backstory, and it just, like, I kind of left it thinking, like, almost like it was this extended, like, 2-hour trailer for, like, for what's coming up next, which is why I'm now disappointed that the next movie is going to have Batman, because I feel like the next story might be really good. And I did really enjoy Man of Steel. I like Superman. I think it was better than the last Superman by far. So I'm glad that, they've taken a new direction with the franchise. And, I think I really like Henry Cavill too. And I know a lot of people were talking about just, his lack of emotion or whatever, but I actually really liked him.
His chin and his waist, right?
I liked everything. No, I really did like him as Superman, and and Amy Adams is always amazing, and I don't know, I thought it was really enjoyable, and I also felt like it was very reminiscent of the one when I was little and I watched Superman, and the same story. So for me, I liked the modern version. I thought it was fun.
I'd have to disagree that I don't feel like it felt anything remotely close to the Christopher Reeve ones. And that's fine, I guess. Again, I don't really know Superman lore that well in the comics. I'm pretty sure once DC was losing and they realized Marvel was doing really well with the X-Men and flawed characters, they had to try to make Superman morally ambiguous. So I'm sure it's not the first time, people complain, oh, it's not like the Superman I know. Well, yeah, that just happens. You can take a darker turn on Superman. While I don't find it that compelling, yeah, I really liked Amy Adams. I thought Russell Crowe was pretty good in it, and I liked that it tried to do a little something different with the origin story by doing the flashbacks, even though, as Andrew pointed out, it was kind of annoying. But at least
that's my biggest gripe about all superhero movies right now, is I don't need the origin story. Like, yeah, if we see an Ant-Man movie, I don't know the origin of Ant-Man. But Superman, Batman, Iron Man, like, we all know these origin stories, so why spend so much time talking about these origin stories when it's like wasted 2/3 of the movie?
Do kids know them? I mean, like, Do you feel like 10-year-olds know the origin story too, and there's nobody on Earth that needs it? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I feel like they
I
probably
just don't
do.
think you need to focus so heavily on it. Like, you can set up what motivates a character to be who they are in a shorter amount of time, and I don't need to see a fresh new take on how Batman's parents died or how Superman, you know, the Superman planet got destroyed. Like, allude to it, let us know about that for someone who's completely clueless. But I think even if you're going to take a 10-year-old Superman, he knows who Superman is, or he's asked questions, or she, you know, that these questions have been answered, and it's not like.
Yeah, well, they have Wikipedia now, so.
Time I've seen the origin of Superman.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I totally agree with Andrew that for the well-known characters, at least for now, I don't think we really need an origin story. Like maybe 20, 30 years down the road, if someone wants to do a reimagining of the origin of Batman, I think that would be a good time to do it because you're talking about a whole new generation. But the need to do it every decade, like with the Spider-Man, you know.
Well, they're rebooting things every 4 years, so it's like at this point, it's like how many iterations of Spider-Man have we seen? And I don't even like Spider-Man, so it drives me nuts.
Yeah, but at least.
But you know, it's one of the issues, though, is that, you know, the big studios are the ones that are making these superhero movies, and they have to make movies that are accessible to every demographic known to man so that they can make their money back. And so, you know, they dumb this stuff down, and they include things in there that, you know, the hardcore, like, diehard fans aren't going to care about, but they're trying to hit every quadrant that they can to make their money back.
I just want movies made exclusively for me and my taste. That's all I ask. That's much. Turn off your phones, don't talk during the movies, and make movies for me. You talk about
well, I understand that too. But are you willing to spend $200 million to watch your movie, Andrew?
Yeah. I gotta check tomorrow. No, but like literally my favorite movies of this year, all of them have had budgets under $20 million. Like, I think by far my favorite movies of this year, 10 of them at least have been independent movies, and all of the blockbusters have been vastly disappointing. Like, I'd rather sit here and talk about 10 independent movies I've seen this year and independent movies that are coming up that I feel are so much better than these big studio movies this year, especially this year. I just felt like this year in general has just been piss poor.
Yeah, and I mean that's gonna be what's gonna happen from here on out, right? We're gonna have, you know, 10 giant studio movies, and then every other movie out is gonna be more of an indie movie, and probably, you know, 50 times better than any of the big studio movies. But you know, it's gonna be that much harder to hear about those, right? Because there's not a ton of money behind them, so you have to kind of seek them out. And I feel like I failed miserably this year as an independent film producer seeing other indie films. But Andrew, you have like an amazing list of films that you've watched, and so I'm gonna take notes as you talk about the ones you did like this year.
Yeah, like there's 4 movies that all deal with like being a teenager that came out this summer, and all of them were fantastic. It was Kings of Summer, The Way Back, Spectacular Now, and The To-Do List. Like, they were all fantastic movies that take you back to an age of, you know, your late teens, and you're grappling with all these things, and they were just really great. And I think my favorite of all of them was The Kings of Summer, where these kids go off in the woods and basically like, I'm so tired of my parents because of these reasons, so we're going to build our own house in the woods until they start living on their own. That freedom and that storyline, and it's uncomplicated, and you know, that to me is far more refreshing, and actually that one was even more visually stunning and cinematography than something, you know, Superman was for me.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't really get to see any of those yeah, I mean, Before Midnight was pretty much the only independent that I saw. What about like what about like The Bling Ring and Blue Jasmine? Those were pretty. Those of like the independents, I think they got some marketing.
Bling Ring was good. I just think I like Sofia Coppola, and I think she tried to do a little too much with an adult subject. Like, I went and saw that movie, and having grown up in Los Angeles, I was like, great, that was a perfect portrayal of kids, snooty kids who live in like Westlake Village and have nothing better to do than go break into people's houses. And the performances are good, but I think it was just a dull subject. That story isn't all that exciting beyond the premise. But I didn't see Blue Jasmine. But my favorite movie of the year was Upstream Color by Shane Carruth, and reportedly that movie was made for less than $50,000. Like, it's a testament to how good filmmaking can be without having to spend literally any money at all.
So which one was this? Upstream Color, you said?
Upstream Color, yeah.
Okay. Could you,
Weird
for those
sci-fi
not
movie.
familiar, what is it about?
Oh golly, I don't. It's really out there. It's a little surreal. It just kind of deals with identity and what makes us who we are and how our relation to each other changes. It's on Netflix Instant. Like, you can go watch it. It's probably not the movie for everyone, but he's one of my favorite directors. He did a movie. His first movie was called Primer. That's the best movie about time travel that's not about time travel.
Oh yeah, I really like that one.
That's the best way I can describe that movie.
What's it called?
The one that came out this year was called Upstream Color, and his first
But then what was the other one?
Primer.
Gotcha.
They're both on Netflix and they're both fantastic. Like, Primer was shot for $7,000 on 16 mil film, and Upstream Color was shot for totally somewhere between 50 and 75,000.
Yeah, and I felt like it did a really good job with playing with the time travel genre and tropes of that. I felt like it tried to do something.
Primer's a very technical movie in filmmaking and just kind of jargon. Like, you have to watch it 2 or 3 times to finally understand what's going on.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Inception maps of like whose dream is in which one.
It messes with
Like
your
that.
head.
Yeah. Yeah, the other, I guess the other small movie that I really liked was Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing. I'm not the biggest like Shakespeare fan, but obviously being a fan of Whedon, this was definitely a lot of fun. I don't know if you
Twice.
was that.
I saw it twice.
I haven't seen it at all, and I'm sad. I've been wanting to see it since it came out, and I just kept missing it, and now I have to wait until it's released. And I love Much Ado About Nothing, and I love Shakespeare, so.
It's fantastic. Well, the girl who plays, oh gosh, I can't even remember her name. The sister who's actually getting married.
Bernice?
Beatrice? No, not Beatrice.
Yeah, Beatrice. I think it's
The other
Beatrice.
one. Anyways,
Oh.
she literally was an extra on the Avengers, and Joss calls her like after the filming had stopped. He's like, "Hey, I want you to audition for this role." And she's like, "Yeah." And then she books, a fairly leading role in What to Do About Nothing. It's just
Wow.
a cool story.
Yeah.
Hero is the character's name.
The only thing I really feel bad is
She played Hero?
She played Hero.
Yeah, Hero. That was it. Yeah, the only thing like I felt bad was Sean Mayer trying to play Claudio, just because I still could not get Keanu Reeves' performance.
Such a bad performance, so horrible.
I mean, that unfortunately, the stink of Keanu or the brilliance of Keanu, however way you want to take it, and unfortunately, every time Sean Mayer was there, I just could not help but compare him to Keanu's performance.
That's so
sorry.
funny.
I just forgot about Keanu.
Poor
That's
Sean.
that's the only bad part of Bruno's Much Ado About Nothing was
Or
Keanu,
the
but everything else
greatest
about it was
part-
awesome.
But though people have asked me which I like better, Nathan Fillion or Michael Keaton.
Oh my goodness.
And
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, you can't hold each other up to each other. Like, there's such different performances that have like their own unique amazingness to both of them. They're both
Yeah, I
fantastic.
mean, yeah, the Fillion, well, Fillion and Tom Lenk like just performed this perfect duel where like I want them to do their own like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern type of spin-off. Yeah, and what's amazing about Fillion's performance is he is not drunk. I say that just as Allison took a swig. Because
right on time there.
Keaton definitely played it like a drunken curmudgeon, if I recall.
Yeah.
Fillion's is just pure
Buffoonery.
I don't know. Yeah, buffoonery is a great word. Yes. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that I greatly enjoyed. Yeah, it would have been nice if there was like smaller movies like that that kind of change the pace with the big movies. Um, all right, so we're kind of running a little late, and we're allegedly only in June. So I'm just going to quickly go over some of these other big ones and see if you guys have anything to say about them. The Purge, which is also another Ethan Hawke movie. This is the End. I really liked. Although I do have something to say about that. World War Z, Monsters University, The Heat, White House Down. Did any of you guys have seen any of those?
I saw all those.
I didn't see any of them, but I really wanted to see White House Down because it looks so awesomely horrible.
It was. It was. I laughed the entire movie, and it's not.
I just wanted to, I was like, oh my god, that is going to be the funniest and most entertaining movie ever when I saw the trailer. And of course, I didn't go and see it, but I'm looking forward to the day that I get to sit and watch that and be entertained.
Things blow up, and it was fun.
Of course.
Gross fonder in my heart.
Yeah, I think I was already kind of getting tired of big movies, so I kind of waited on that. So I didn't watch White House Down. I kind of want to watch The Heat. I'll probably catch it when it's on TV now.
I thought it was good, and I read an article that was kind of criticizing it, like saying, you know, it's the female version of a buddy cop movie, and like they didn't try to do anything. And I was like, that's the point. Like, they took the buddy cop movie and put two really funny actresses in it, and it works perfectly because their chemistry is good, and they didn't have to reinvent the wheel. They just allowed it to be a female wheel, and it was great in that aspect.
Yeah, I heard the writing itself was not all that, you know, special. It was just...
It's an action buddy cop movie, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but it's just that when you know, Sandra Bullock still has like her, you know, her fastball in terms of comedy, and of course Melissa McCarthy's just on fire right now. So yeah, it sounded like their chemistry was just perfect for that movie.
Yeah, it was great. I think my other favorite comedy of the year was We're the Millers, which I know got some bad press, but I thought it was hilarious. Like, they do all these conventional things, but then put like a slightly unconventional way of getting out of a stupid scenario that we've seen 100 times. I thought it was fantastic. And Jennifer Aniston still has it in all the right places.
So, are you saying like We're the Millers had some pretty good writing, or was it more the performances that helped it?
Both. I thought the writing was clever, and then just some amazing comedic performances all around.
I mean, yeah. In June, the other comedy out there was This Is the End, which is, you know, just silly and full of inside jokes. I really enjoyed it. It was, once again, it's another post-apocalyptic movie, but at least they're making fun of it, and there had, like, you know, there was a sense of escapism in that, which obviously is what you need out of a comedy. You wouldn't expect something like super serious happening.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of cameos and deaths were quite amusing. Like, I've never watched Craig Robinson really do anything. I don't watch TV that much.
Oh, Craig Robinson's amazing.
Yeah, he was fantastic in this movie, and so was Danny McBride. They both just...
Danny McBride in the face. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they both just like slayed everybody in this movie comically. There was this really weird, interesting comment made by the Girl in Hoodies podcast from the Grantland Network, and this kind of ties into when me and Eric Campbell and Patty Robinson kind of talked about rape jokes and whether they're appropriate or not, because the Girl in Hoodies, they pointed out there's a scene where Emma Watson's there, and she's the only girl with a bunch of guys in a post-apocalyptic world, and so they suddenly had this, oh, it's a funny scene where like someone accidentally says rape, and then it's supposed to be funny, and actually, like, I think it's an interesting... you know, it probably doesn't really belong in this conversation, but, you know, that was the one thing that I was trying to remember while I was having the conversation about...
there was this really...
And so that's what I wanted to bring up in case anyone had listened to episode 2 and now listening to me in episode 4. It is a really long-winded way of suddenly, like, halting everything to a screech. But, yeah. I just needed to get that out of my system. All right, so July, We had The Lone Ranger. We had Despicable Me. Way back, you saw that, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. Pacific Rim, which I really liked, and I kind of talked about it last week. Red 2, R.I.P.D., Only God Forgives.
It was horrible. I almost walked out of it.
Yeah, I was so bummed when I heard about the bad reviews because I loved Drive.
Yeah, me too.
Drive was the best movie of the year. Was it 2 years ago? I can't remember, but yeah. And so when I saw the trailer for Only God Forgives, I was like, I'm in. This is going to be the best movie of the year. And then, so what was bad about it?
It was all the director. Ryan Gosling was fine because he wrote and directed it, and he kind of like took the concept of Drive and wanted to take it to the next level and an even artsier level, and everything just got lost and confusing, and I was so close to walking out. There was like 45 minutes left, and I was just tapping my foot on the ground, waiting for this movie to be over, because I literally have never left the movie, because I hold out to the hope that it'll get better by the end, and it just it did not deliver at all. It's horrible. All the cans, because all the people at Cannes were like, this is worth, and sometimes the Cannes critics are just wrong. They were all absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like the violence just went to a whole nother level that just wasn't like entertaining or interesting, and I think it went like a little too artsy-fartsy from what I heard.
From the arting to the lighting to the camera direction, and it just trying to be too artsy.
Right.
It's set in somewhere in Asia, so half the movie's subtitled, but it's a train wreck.
Yeah. So the other, I guess, big movies for July were The Wolverine and also Fruitvale Station, which also was pretty popular amongst the indie crowd. For me, I saw Despicable Me 2. I thought it was really, really funny, and people from the 90s probably will really enjoy the All for One I Swear video that I just spoiled. But I thought the Minions were fantastic, and I thought it was just fun, cartoony violence. And
yeah, there was so much character given to Gru. Like, he transitioned from being a supervillain to like a super dad, but then still, has to save the day, but they did it in such a way that like I really care about his character. And they did it Chris character brings the love story thing, which didn't feel tired like that so often. To the point, but it didn't feel tired.
Yeah, they actually made an effort to give the kids a little bit of subplot. Like the oldest daughter, has a crush, and that I thought that was really funny. And the Minions, they kind of reeled them in as much as they could, because it would have been just gratuitous to just have the Minions run amok and do crazy things, which they did, but at least there was still a story, a semblance of a story for Gru and whatnot. And they're going to have a Minions movie like next year anyway, so that will just be full of insanity anyway.
Yeah. The other thing I saw in July was, or right after July, was Blackfish, the documentary about SeaWorld and the killer whales.
Oh, right, I heard about that.
Yeah, and it makes you super angry but super sad at all the same time. And I'll probably never, ever, ever take my kids to SeaWorld ever again.
So
I have kids now, but if I ever have them.
So what does it talk about?
It just brings about the question, like, is it really good and is it humane to have these giant, majestic creatures, captive in small little swimming pools, basically? It points out a lot of evidence of things that happen in captivity that never happen to whales in the ocean, like the dorsal fin, like flapping over on the males, like that happens in 1% of all whales in the wild, and it happens to 100% of them in captivity. All this other stuff. And then SeaWorld's ability to cover up accidents at SeaWorld, like trainers on the farm.
Right, yeah, I was kind of hesitant just because I'm not the biggest animal lover, but, I'm not, you kind of have to...
An animal hater, Ben?
I'm not on that spectrum either. I'm kind of, But the point is, my point is, before I get attacked by PETA, is that I feel like you kind of have to put yourself into a certain mental state before watching a movie like that. I feel like it's like when that movie The Cove came out, I think a year or two ago, which was about the slaughter of dolphins or something, and that was like everyone was like, that's a must see. It's just an incredible movie. I kind of have to put myself into a mood to really want to watch that. So,
because it's not going to be a happy thing, but
no.
It's
a choice whether you want to be informed or not, and I think
right.
It's easy to take the easy road out and say, oh, I don't want to be in that mood, but like, sometimes you have to force yourself to be uncomfortable because it's an important thing. I think.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't want to see like gratuitous violence either. Like real gratuitous violence kind of really bugs me. Something like Blackfish, I think more like if someone wrote down what happened, then I could be informed.
So you'll just read reviews and read articles about it, but you don't want to watch the movie.
Right, yeah. Go ahead, spoiler away Blackfish for me. And
you're a robot with no feelings, that's all. Information.
Yeah. So, did anybody bother trying to watch The Lone Ranger or R.I.P.D.? I know those were probably allegedly the biggest duds out there.
Mm-mm.
All right, so we stayed. No comment on those. I heard the Wolverine was pretty good, but I decided to wait on it.
I didn't like it.
Andrew's shaking his head.
Why didn't you like it?
Because it was it was a half Wolverine origin story, which I was like, I don't need more Wolverine origin story.
Wait, but didn't they already do the origins of Wolverine in the Wolverine Origins movie?
Kinda, yeah. So it was like, it was just all over the place again. Like, they spent a lot of time on this, do I want to be mutant, do I not want to be mutant, this dredging up this past, a lot of flashbacks, not tying it in at all to any of the other X-Men universe. Like, it just failed to be an X-Men movie, and failed even more to be a Wolverine character-driven movie.
Wow. I mean,
just watch the after-credit scene on YouTube, and that would be more exciting than the entire Wolverine.
Is that an Easter egg for like Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one I'm hoping is really good. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, although I heard
that on superhero movies.
I don't know. I don't think we ever will. I mean, otherwise we would be tired of superhero comic books, right? I don't know. I don't know if that's a good comparison. So yeah, I don't know if anyone. I didn't watch Fruitvale Station. I'm sure that was a lot of people definitely made connections with the Trayvon Martin trial and everything. So I'm sure a lot of people in the black community, especially, probably it resonated really, really well with them. It's probably on my eventually I'll probably watch it. It's just, I know, again, you unfortunately gotta put your mindset into it again.
Come on, Ben, we gotta get you to see more depressing, horrible movies.
I already what was I gonna say? Crap.
Sorry.
I lost my train of thought. So I mean, did anyone wanted to add anything to Pacific Rim? I mean, basically, I just thought it was really fun. It reminded me of young Tim Burton in terms of like the filmmaking, joy of filmmaking.
I didn't see it, but I wanted to see it, and I still will probably see it because it's like a Sons of Anarchy reunion, and why not?
I thought it was fun. I hope somehow they are going to tie it into the Godzilla movie, because that would be amazing.
That would be fantastic.
There's been rumors that they're tying it into Godzilla, and then the Pacific Rim 2 would be like Godzilla crossover movie. But that's me hoping for awesomeness.
Sure, I mean, we might as well cross over everything. We have Jason Statham in Fast and Furious, which means Expendables 3 is going to cross over with Fast and Furious, so...
what's his name? The guy from who did the Parks and Rec speech, who just matched up all the movies?
The what?
The comedian who did the Parks and Rec monologue.
Oh, the Patton Oswalt,
Yeah.
Star Wars filibuster, which
Yeah,
was
so Patton Oswalt to just be able to write all the movies and cross over everything.
yes, that probably will happen now since Disney owns everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope to watch Blue Jasmine. Yeah, I heard Red 2 was okay.
I liked
Uh,
it.
And so and then we get to August, which obviously doesn't have too much going on. There was Two Guns, Spectacular Now, which I think Andrew mentioned, Elysium, Kick-Ass 2, Jobs. You got The Butler, which has been going strong, and then The World's End.
Also, In a World.
Oh, right. Andrew, did you want to talk about Spectacular Now or In a World?
Yeah, In a World was fun. It's a very industry movie, but it's kind of fun. This girl's just kind of on a journey to break out and be her own person in the voiceover world. Written, directed, and stars. What's her name?
Lake Bell.
I forgot her name.
Lake Bell?
Yes, Lake Bell. And she does a really good job. And then Spectacular Now, it's just a fantastic movie. It's kind of self-discovery at the end of high school, but done in a very real way. Like the main character is very flawed, and it's not done, it's not trite about how it goes, portraying its main character as a flawed person, and he's just in his world trying to figure out what it means to be him at the end of high school. And I thought it was very refreshing, and the performances were fantastic, and the girl who's in it is great. She can come to other stuff, and that was probably World's End was really fun, but I think Spectacular Now for August has.
Right. Did any of you see Elysium?
No.
Okay, I didn't either. Okay, well then.
I'm on the fence. Like I kind of want to, but I'm not sure.
My biggest fear before the reviews came in was, it's just going to be District 9, but with bigger budget, basically. That was my fear because we've seen that before with other first-time directors when they get that big budget. They kind of just end up telling the same story. I heard that's not necessarily the case, but nevertheless, it doesn't really, it sounded like from some reviews it was kind of wasted opportunity. It could have been something that had good meaning, like how District 9 had some great allegories towards apartheid and South Africa's racial issues. It sounded like Elysium that kind of was just a setup, and then everything just went boom. For me, I like. Thankfully, the summer movies ended with The World's End, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't remember Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead very much, but I feel like I like this one the best, obviously, because I liked it the best not just because I just recently watched it, but it was not a straight-up parody, so they could basically throw jokes from any angle versus having to try to here's the trope about Michael Bay movies, here's the trope about zombies, and then do jokes only in that vein. I felt it kind of freed up the writing and the performances to go from all angles.
Yeah, I'll agree 100%. And I love the flip-flop of the dynamic between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's character. Like, they essentially switched their role in both directions.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think Nick Frost was definitely was the best part, with him basically kind of turning into like drunk Hulk and destroying everything. Allison, what did you think about The World's End?
I thought it was a total blast. I kind of wish I was back in college and drinking, through the whole thing and just being belligerent. And I feel like it was, I don't know, it was awesome. I saw it at the ArcLight with a huge audience on opening night, and it was just really, really fun. It was a fun crowd. People were just really getting into it, and it was so, I felt like it was so over the top ridiculous that it was awesome. You know, I'm not a huge comedy fan. You know, comedy is not normally something I go for, especially when I'm going to the movies, but it definitely, you know, hit the spot, and you know, I'm really glad I saw it. It was super fun. Everyone should go out and enjoy themselves and watch it.
Yeah, I was interested to see, like, when I went, I was surrounded by a bunch of like 15-year-olds, high schoolers. I was like, are they going to get the British jokes? And it seemed like it wasn't really straight up British jokes anyway. Like I said, the jokes kind of came from all angles, and they you know, everyone, you know, really enjoyed it and had fun. I was really surprised by the fight scenes. I thought they were really well done.
Yeah.
And it made, first of all, it was chaotic, but you knew what was going on. You could see everything that was happening. And it was done in a creative way where the characters still were themselves. It wasn't just flat out video game mode.
Yeah, it was really unexpected how much fighting there was, but then how well it was done, and I really enjoyed that part.
It was well done, and at the same time, it served the purpose. It actually still was like, yeah, that's definitely what Simon Pegg's character would do. Try to get a glass of, still get his drink on in the middle of a brawl, you know. And then that guy who had the fear of fighting, you know, he was just constantly cowering in the corner. You know, I felt that is how you do an elaborate and probably expensive fight scene. Frankly, I mean, it's a lot easier to do it now than before. But you know,
that just goes to show how strong and how well written all of those characters were. That like, they maintained their individuality throughout the film in different ways, and they played into those strengths and weaknesses fluidly from scene to scene.
Yeah, that definitely impressed me for sure. And of course, you know, I enjoyed seeing James Bond there and Argus Filch.
I kind of wish there was one more movie so they could like work in Daniel Craig, so they had like the Bond trifecta. They only got 2 out of 3 Bonds.
Oh, that's true. I forgot they had Timothy Dalton in Hot Fuzz, right?
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's no Bond in Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it's yeah, probably.
Unless they like slept Roger Moore.
Yeah, I was really switching gears. I was really looking forward to Kick-Ass 2, and then the reviews were really, really bad. So
I liked it. It had some structure problems, but like Jim Carrey was fantastic, and I wish he would have kept his big mouth shut because I think it's supposed to relaunch his career. But Hit Girl was her role and her acting is just fantastic. And I just saw the trailer for Carrie. She looks like she's going to knock it out of the park in that as well.
Yeah, I really enjoy Chloe Moretz something. I do not know how to pronounce her name, but she is quite an awesome actress.
She's like 16.
What?
She's like 16.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot of skill there. It's awesome.
It's incredible.
Makes me feel like I've done nothing for my life.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, for me, like in general, as a whole, you know, the whole summer was a little bit meh, as Andrew kind of said, you know, about the big budget ones. They didn't really seem to do that well for me. I enjoyed Iron Man 3 and Pacific Rim the most, partly because they didn't take themselves as serious as big action movies, and again, I felt like they did the least amount of the 9/11ing of imageries. I enjoyed Fast Furious 6 for just being flat out silly. Much ado about nothing. World's End, but for me, I think, like I said again, you know, Before Midnight right now is not just my favorite movie of the summer, but probably as of this moment of the year. Did you guys have any? Was there any like overall themes or things you took away from the summer season?
No, just that I need to see more movies. I need to make an effort. You know, I know there's a bunch of. I usually do my catch up right around Oscar season. I'll really make sure that I watch, 15 different movies to kind of catch up, and yeah, so that's when I'll do it. Oh, and you keep seeing Rob here. Rob is.
Yeah, I know. Rob's like watching TV or something.
No, I think what he's doing is he's queuing. He hears that we're coming to an end, and he's queuing up Newsroom.
Oh, okay. It's that time of the night. Andrew, did you have any like big picture feels about it, or what stood out to you the most?
Bigger isn't better. Like this summer definitely proved it. Last year definitely was. There were some good big tentpole movies. This year I feel been all about the indie. My top 3 movies of the year are Upstream Color, Spring Breakers, and probably Kings of Summer. Like movies that almost nobody saw. Like Kings of Summer was in theaters for less than 3 weeks. Like 2 theaters in LA. I think sometimes you just have to really go out of your way to seek out better filmmaking, better writing, better performances, than what's going to be, the popcorn movies here.
Right. Okay, well, man, I really, so I guess that kind of wraps up the summer season. There's been a few like trailers and stuff for upcoming movies. Is there anything that really like excites you guys? I thought for me it was going to be the Tom Hanks Walt Disney movie. That was going to be like, oh, that's going to be the one that wins everything. But now for me, it's like the Counselor looks really, really awesome. And there's I think another movie, and then there's of course Gravity, which like made me crap my pants.
I'm looking forward to Gravity. I think, like, I love sci-fi, I love space. Good actors in the movie. When I watched I think there's like 2 trailers or 3 or something that I saw in a row, and I was just like, oh my god, I can't wait for this. It's so awesome. So yeah, really looking forward to that one.
Andrew,
and I feel like recently, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to just ask Andrew if he's seen the trailers for Gravity yet.
Oh yeah, I love Alphonse Cuarón. I love Children of Men, and the opening shot of this movie is supposed to be like 16 minutes long in single take, and I love that style of filmmaking that's bold and you keep the scene interesting without having to cut for an extended period of time. Like that always that proves to me that something that.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, for me, like, I actually had to stop watching the trailers again just because I'm going to, like, go beyond, like, expectations. Even though I'm already, like, in complete giddiness over it coming out in, I think it's in October.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other movies that you guys are looking forward to? In the upcoming season?
I'm a giant Spike Jonze fan, and he has that movie called Her with
Joaquin Phoenix. That was it. Yeah.
In love with his computer operating system that's voiced by Scarlett Johansson. And this is written and directed by Spike Jonze, which is a little bit of a departure because he's not writing.
Usually he's got Charlie Kaufman doing.
Yeah, it feels very Kaufman-esque, but it's going to be all Spike Jonze. So I'm super excited for that. The Coen brothers have a new movie. American Hustle comes out, and then Don John, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's movie that he wrote and directed, looks pretty good. There's the rest of the year. There's a lot. I have probably 15 movies that come out between now and the end of the year that I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I think it's going to be again one of those seasons where again everything comes out around Christmas time, and then you're just going to have to buckle in and put your ass in the theater to watch like 3-4 of those movies in one day to get them all done. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see everything that you need to see. But
yeah, lots of good independent stuff coming out. That's my foot's always in the independent theater because I find that's always great.
Right. All right. Well, I want to. Do you guys have any last parting words?
Nothing at the moment. I mean, hopefully people will be able to look for Office Ninja and Love in the Time of Monsters in the near future.
Right. Thanks for the plug there. Good job. Good job. I was, yeah, it looks like Allison's ready for newsroom time, so.
There's always lots of television going on in this house.
Yeah. I may have to bring you in to, like, update me on everything that happened in TV, because I don't watch TV. Except for
we can do another episode and just talk about television, because that's all Rob lets me watch.
it's pretty much going to be like, teach Ben everything that has happened in the past 5 years in TV or something like that.
That's a nice challenge.
Other than Doctor Who,
you know,
me and Andrew, we'll talk about Doctor Who on our free time. All right. Well, I want to thank Andrew Seeley and Allison Vanore for putting up with some technical difficulties. We got this to work for the one day later, and I want to thank our viewers and listeners. If you can, subscribe on iTunes or YouTube, and if you have any comments and if you want to yell about Andrew to get a better mic, feel free. Go ahead. And I guess lastly, do you guys want to just say what your Twitter handle is for the audio listeners?
Sure. Mine is Allicine, so that's at ALLIECINE.
Mine is at Andrew Seeley, ANDREWSEELY.
And I'm at PT Movie Guy. I'll throw links and whatnot. All right. I want to thank you guys again, and see you next week.
Thank you. Happy movie watching.
Bye.
Bye.